When I was a little kid, and even now that I'm a very big kid, I still love to walk along the beach and look for little pieces of treasure, mostly sea glass, and I absolutely love it. So I'm going to paint some sea glass today, and I'm going to show you how to make that sea glass glow. Come paint with me. Hello! I'm so glad you joined me to paint some sea glass today. A lot of what we're going to do today in our 5-minute fresh fix is wet on wet. So we're going to wet the area of the piece we're going to start with some clean water. You're then going to touch around the outside of the wet area with the color of the piece that you're working on so that it flows in towards the center, and then a little bit of shade around the outside edges. With your clean damp brush, you're going to lift some of that color out of the center. You want to add just a little bit more color to sort of bring it out a little, and a little bit more shade around the edge, and that gives it a bit more dimension. For your next piece, you're going to basically do the exact same process. You're going to wet the area, you're going to touch your color around the outside edge and your shade around the outside edge. Let the water do the work for you and lift out that center a little bit. You can always go back in and add a little bit more color to pump up the vibrancy a little if you want a darker piece of glass. And then we'll move on to one of the bigger pieces. Again, the exact same process. Wet, color, shade, lift out the center, lather, rinse, repeat. Again, we're going to go back in and add a little bit more color because this bigger piece is a bit darker, so you want a bit more rich color on there. Again, we're going to move on to this little indigo piece up in the corner. Same process again. Wet, color, shade, lift out that center. And one more piece for good measure. We're going to work this one in a nice red color because I love red glass. I think it's so pretty. And again, it's that same process. You're going to wet your area, color around the outside edge, shade around the outside edge, and lift out that center. So once all of your pieces are completely dry, we're going to go back in and go around the edges of each piece with a little bit more shade color. And while it's still a little damp, you're going to want to blend that out towards the center. So still leave that lighter point in the middle, but a little bit more shade around the outside edge makes that center light point stand out even more, and it helps to get that glow going. Now to make these pieces glow just a little bit more and pop right off the page, we're going to put a shadow around each piece. Very similar process to the pieces of glass. You're going to wet the area that you want your shadow to go. You're going to touch your shadow color along the edge a little bit. And you're also going to put a little tiny touch of the glass color in that shadow, like the sun is shining through and casting that same colored shadow in that shadow. It helps to actually add a little bit of dimension. It makes it look so pretty. Again, that similar process. You're going to wet the area where the shadow is going to go. You're going to touch the shadow color along the outside edge and a tiny bit of the glass color in there as well. And remember to keep a little bit of a light spot towards the edge of the glass. And that gives it that pop, that glow. It looks really nice. And there we go again. We're going to wet the area, touch with the shadow color, little tiny bit of your glass color, and a little bit of a lift. Pops right off the page. And last but not least, our little green piece. You're going to wet the area, add your shadow color, little tiny bit of glass color, little bit of a lift, and pop she goes. And I'm just going to go back in with my rigger brush and add a little bit more of a darker edge value. That added little value against the edge there where the shadow meets the glass helps to set it right off. And that is our 5-minute fresh fix for some glowing sea glass. It looks lovely. I'm sure you guys are going to have a lot of fun playing with this. Thanks so much for painting with me today. And be sure and hit that like button and subscribe to my channel, and we'll have all kinds of more watercolor adventures. Have a great day. Bye.